Hello everybody and welcome to a special episode of Kerbal Space Program. Right now we are playing version 0.23 with a whole boatload of mods, and this series might have been slightly, maybe a little bit too much inspired by Scott Manley's Interstellar series. If you didn't know, I'm a very, very big fan of Scott Manley himself. He's a really great YouTuber, and he deserves a lot more subscribers than he actually has, so if you're going to go hop over to his channel, you should go ahead and subscribe to him because he makes some incredible Kerbal Space Program videos, like nothing you would ever see before. Now, you're probably asking, what are we doing right now? And as you see here, we have a small satellite, which doesn't really look like it's doing much, but it has a very, very vital role in the whole entire, grand scheme of things. This satellite is probably one of the most important pieces of the whole entire project I have been assembling, and without any further jump cuts, I show you the Duna Explorer. This rocket is probably one of the largest things I have ever constructed in Kerbal Space Program, and no, I did not all send it up at once. It was a huge coalition of about 5 days of work. I sent up all the units individually. As Steve Kerman is showing us right now, he's flying past the habitation module, which contains a lot of the satellites and the food and the SAS units, which will help keep the satellite along. And this is probably one of the pièce de résistance of the whole thing. We have the warp drive, as it's so expertly called. It's not actually a warp drive, it's just 4 nuclear engines conveniently strapped to some fuel tanks, and we call that a day. But without any warning, we decided to head off to Duna. Now, for me, this was actually a really big moment, because I had wanted to see this thing head off to Duna for a really, really long time. And it was so glorious to see this thing just wobble and wobble around while I tried to get it off to Duna. And I actually did not get to... I did get to Duna, but I did not do it extremely well, though. I messed up the phase angle of where the planet was supposed to be, so I had to do a whole ton of excessive burns, and it was kind of insane while we were rolling around and stuff there. But yeah, as you can see, all the different parts of the spacecraft and where they all came together with the docking ports. This is all in career mode too, so this is entirely legit. All these parts, I unlocked all of these. I sent them all up, put them all together. No cheats or any. Well, actually, no, I did use the one cheat, which was the part clipping in the editor, because sometimes Kerbal Space Program and mods do not kind of work well together. But yes, we are breaking the orbit of Kerbal. Talk about an impressive planet. It's a blue tiny sphere, and there you go. With the power of video editing, it looks like I just got into that orbit in about 30 seconds. It really took me about a half an hour to figure out where everything was going to be, and to actually get the encounter with the planet. It took ages to do, and there we go. As our food and our waste all fills up, we have 7 pilots aboard the spacecraft. It's really, I overdid myself with the spacecraft. It's really amazing. This is it's probably comparable to stuff Scott Manley's made, although his actually work much better than mine do. And we start to do science here, and I brought myself a lab, which I have never actually used before. This is the first time I've ever used the labs aboard Kerbal Space Center, and there it is. No comms devices on this vessel. Cannot transmit data. But we do have the comms device. I sent up the comms device. That was the basis. The first thing we did this episode was we sent up the comms device, and I even stuck it in the open port. That was supposed to be a refueling docking port, but I turned it into a satellite one after I realized that I did not attach any satellites to it. And it will not let us transmit any data back to Kerbal Space Center. But why? What happened? Why can we not send anything back to Kerbal Space Center? Come on, the precious science of Duna is not getting to where it needs to be, but we don't need to be jumping to conclusions here, because we don't know what happened. Or do we? It might have. We don't know. As Steve Kerman leaves his capsule, he can only wonder what happened to the communication system. Perhaps Kerbal Space Center could no longer contact them, or maybe something unfortunate happened to the relay station in orbit above Kerbal. He begins to realize that there never was enough fuel aboard the spacecraft to bring the pilots back home, and further concludes there would not be nearly enough food for the way back either. After days of no contact with the Space Center, Steve knows what he must do. He flies to the docking port, connecting the oxygen systems, and disables it, peacefully letting his 6 comrades go. And he wonders about his fellow Kerbal's dreams to travel to other planets, and his own dream of becoming a Kerbalnaut himself. Even though he knows this is the end, Steve never gave up hope that one day they would return to find the spacecraft and be remembered.